One of our favorite things to do to help keep the peace in the family, if there's only one computer that can be shared in the family, or if there's a main family computer that everyone uses in the kitchen or the family room, living room, wherever it might be, is to set up separate user accounts for people in the family. You don't want your kids logging into the computer one day and accidentally deleting your company report, a spreadsheet, or the novel you've been working on for the last 5 years. Okay, so the easiest way to do that is to select System Preferences. You can either select it here as this icon if you have one in your dock, or you can click on the apple in the upper left-hand corner of your screen and then select System Preferences there. In System Preferences, and we'll get to some of these in other video clips, but for now, in this System Preferences tutorial, let's take a look at the Accounts setting. In Accounts, you'll see other user IDs that have been installed. You can add one for the kids by first clicking on the lock to make changes. Put in your password for this particular profile. Of course, the profile you're in has to be an administrative profile. Administrative just means that you have permission to make major changes to the system and delete things that other standard profiles might not be able to delete. Okay, so once you've gotten into the System Preferences for Accounts, where you can add an account, you would click on the plus sign in the lower left-hand corner, and you would give this profile a name. Let's say it's going to be the profile the kids are allowed to log into. Now, I didn't put in a password yet. I jumped a little ahead of myself. Call it Kids. Account name is Kids. Leave it as standard so they can't delete things without your permission or your knowledge. They can also install things that you don't want them to install. And then as a password, use, well, whatever you think might be appropriate. It should be something very simple so that you'll be able to access that profile if you need to check things out. Now you see here it says turn on File Vault protection. I'm not a big fan of File Vault for a lot of different reasons. More often than not, the users get themselves in trouble with File Vault because what File Vault does is put a master padlock on everything on the computer. And if you forget the File Vault password, you're sunk. That's basically it. So I'm not a big fan of using File Vault. Go ahead and click on Create Account. And now you've created an account entitled Kids. Now the lipstick might not be the most appropriate photo for that profile. Let's try the goldfish. You have a lot to choose from here. If you just click on the picture itself, you can have some swim fins if you like. You might want to go for the robot. And that will be the kid's profile. Now here, just below this, you can enter allow user to administer this computer. If your child knows more about computers than you do, this might be appropriate. They can actually help you. They can install things, they can delete things, they can change settings and so forth. If you want to have more control over the computer and you're a bit concerned perhaps about the influence your kids' friends might have on inappropriate content or so forth, or if you use your computer for work and you want to be absolutely sure that your kids don't accidentally throw something out or change it by accident, don't check this. Parental controls are offered by Apple. We've had mixed results with parental controls, and I'm personally not a big fan of using parental controls because more often than not there's some sort of conflict with third-party software sometimes. So I'm not really going to recommend that at this point. Once you've done all of that, you can then click on Login Options, and right now automatic login is off. That means that when you first turn on the computer, you will see a list of users, of these users presented. You would click on one of these users and enter the appropriate password for that particular profile. If you don't want to have to do that every time, you can select the user that should automatically come up. For example, you put in the password for that user. By the way, I've used Kids as the password for Kids. The profile makes it very easy. And then every time the computer restarts or is turned on, it will automatically end up in the kid's profile. This can be a little inconvenient if you want to be able to get on the computer in a hurry. The kids are away at school and you want to get in. Now you have to log out of the profile and log into yours. If you don't want to take that extra step, you can do something that's actually very cool, and that is to turn on Show Fast User Switching menu as. Now what this does is it creates a shortcut, really, a fast way for you to spin from one user to another. Now we'll leave it as name. You'll see right here we have Detective's Demo at the upper right hand corner. Now if I get out of this and I click here and then select the kids profile because that's where I want to go, it will give me a login window. I simply type in the profile password for kids and the entire screen will rotate. I'm not going to do it here because then I'll lose my recording, but you can rotate into the screen for kids, and then when you're done with their profile, or if they're done and you need to get back into your profile, well, then you would click up here, you would select your profile and put in your password, and you would rotate back. So to review very quickly, you go into System Preferences, you go into Accounts, and you can create as many profiles as you're comfortable with for as many people as might use the computer. You can have one for your son, one for your daughter, one for your wife, and one for yourself, or one for your husband, whatever. Now, also, in a similar fashion, if you click here and then put in the password again, if you're done with one of these profiles, you can then delete that profile by simply logging in as I just did, clicking on the kid's profile, for example, and hitting the minus button. Now, it says save the home folder in disk image. I wouldn't worry about that if there's no data to worry about. Delete the home folder, you click on that, and that profile is toast. So some things to keep in mind when you create separate profiles. It's also very useful, even if you have a computer all to yourself, to have separate profiles so that you can try out software, for example, without changing anything on your particular profile. Perhaps you have a private profile for your personal use, and then you set up a separate work profile for all of your work data. This can be very useful for privacy, especially if you're working with a computer, if you take the computer with you to work. Okay, that's how you set up a profile. That's how you turn on fast user switching. And next we'll show you how to install security screen lock on your screen.